Everybody hates wiring, so let's talk about it. This is my 1990 Chevy K1500 4x, had a 350 in it, and now it has a 5.3 LS in it and a 4L80 factory T-case. And for the motor and trans, I'm running PSI conversions standalone for the motor and trans. So the ECU is going to go in the glove box just like factory. I'll show that whole harness in a second, but I wanted to touch on what I did with the old harness because I couldn't find that much info on it. I had to learn a lot of it on myself, so I wanted to talk about it. I guess the early OBSs are a little different than the later ones. I found quite a bit on the later ones, but not a lot on these early ones. So I'm going to get into a little about what I did with the factory harness, as far as cutting away the whole engine harness and leaving the body harness and some stuff. So let's go. So here's the PSI standalone. I'll give you a little bit better idea of what it is. Here's your ECU connections and under dash wires. This is for your well, there's your fuse box, but this is your trans and VSS sensor, and that's your whole motor right there. So that's all that. And this is the box. Extra wires, the whole engine harness for the old harness. Sorry it's a mess in here. I had the whole harness in here, built the motor right there, so it's been my little workshop room. So these are the connectors for the old ECU, completely cut out because we do not need that anymore. And I'm gonna talk about what I did as far as that. All right, back in the truck here. So there's your factory ECU, there's the connectors that are all cut off, and what I did is I found a diagram of both these and went through every single one, traced it, figure out if I needed it or not. Obviously, all of them were getting cut, and I guess you could just cut them and, you know, pull out all the connectors, but I wanted to know what everything was, so I did it one by one, cut them all, and eventually they were all gone. And so also some of them branched over to this plug right here, the clear one. This is the C100 plug, and some of them branch over and you have to cut. So, but there's a couple you need, as well as there's a few you need from these plugs in here. So for instance, AC on, fuel pump relay. Fun fact, still got to hear back from my harness company if I'm going to run their fuel pump relay or just use the factory one, because all I did was put a bigger fuel pump in the factory sending unit. Factory wiring, everything all hooks up, and everyone said it should work. So I'll get back to you on that one. But so there's a few wires you need to keep from the other one, especially the purple one that runs. There's a couple purple ones, but the solid purple one is for your torque converter switch, when it tells it when it's applying the brakes, so you need that. But yeah, so I started here cutting those all away, figured out what I need, and now I got them all labeled and sitting here, and some of those go to the new ECM. And now I'll talk about the motor side. So factory distribution block is still all up, and I'll tell you about the wires that I left. This purple big one right here runs to over there. That's your starter ignition switch. There's two lines for the AC, or well, two connectors, but there's three lines that you need to keep, and those both run into there, and then one goes over to tell it to turn on. And over here, there's a few brake things you have to keep. This big plug, that plug you got to keep. And as far as the two top ones, those are your body harness. This one runs to the back of the truck and does the fuel pump and all your rear taillights. And this is all your front lighting stuff. Those were untouched, did not touch those. It was only this lower one. Purple and yellow wire is VSS. And everyone's told me that I can't make this 1990 factory cluster work. So of course now I just really want to make it work. So that wire, those two wires, the purple and yellow, go to the T-case and plug in there and gets signal. And as far as I know, that's where the speedo reads off of. Now my factory, or my standalone, has plugs for the tranny, but that's for the ECM to know. So I think this will work. We're gonna find out. But also, you need, I have not figured out what this plug is yet, honestly. This is literally the one I have not figured out. This right here is your coolant temp. It's a 1-wire. The LSs are 3-wire, and I found a guy online that says that they're in a triangle, and the one on the bottom is the only one you need of the 3, so I can cut the plug from my factory 5.3 harness off and tie in just that one. And I don't believe my standalone needs to know coolant. Also, I'll be figuring that out. I gotta call my tuner. But yeah, so there's a little update on it. It's coming together. I'm gonna loom all that, make it nice and pretty. And then I'm gonna lay in the standalone and start hooking it up to the motor. Other than that, all the fuel lines are ran. They're full 6 AN. Trans lines are ran. Those are also AN lines. And motor trans T-case is all set in. Got Dirty Dingo mounts. They're pretty much fully, the motor's fully back. Still tons of clearance back there. The factory headers are gonna work. It's all ICT billet brackets. I got the wrong spacer for the AC one. That's why it's off. So it should be in line and all work. That's a factory 5.3 pulley and pump for power steering. Those should work. I got a line that'll work to the old box. Yeah, so also one thing I didn't find any information on, but I figured it out. So for the trans cross member, it just sits in the C channel of the frame. So all we did is cut holes and moved it back. And I got a factory 4L80 bushing or whatever, brace, whatever you want to call it, and it slid right into this, so it was perfect. It's all bolted down, good to go. So you can see this is where the hole used to be because the 4L80 is longer, and everything works. There's room for everything. What I'm going to do is convert my steering column to cable and run cable shift for the 80. I got that piece coming too. Drive lines are being made right now. I got them all measured out. So everything should work, but there's that sensor I was talking about. It plugs into the T-case. And I think I can get everything to work that way. Also, I forgot to mention, so that's the hole for the T-case shifter. There's a connector right there for the lights in it, and it goes over there. But, so like I said, for shift linkage, I'm gonna go cable, and that'll work. But for T-case, I gotta make those two connect, and it's further back, so I should be able to make that work. So just a little update. I'll make another video once I get everything figured out and the standalone laid in, and maybe answer more questions. But like I said, I couldn't find a ton on these early OBSs. It was pretty confusing, but I think I got it mostly figured out now. Oh, also got to talk about, so I talked about coolant, but oil. So here's my factory oil pressure gauge. It's a 3-wire, but it does not plug into your factory LS one. The threads are different. So I think I can buy an adapter to make the old oil pressure sensor work with the newer block. Some guy online told me this. So I think that's what I'm gonna do for oil. And coolant I got figured out, speedo I got figured out, voltage is in the PCM, so that should be good. But yeah, so just a little update on my Chevy. She's coming together though. I'll get all that stuff figured out here in the next couple days and get that harness in, and I'll make another video, hopefully answer some questions. But yeah, it's been a project, it's coming along.